It's time for ROTD Weekend. My kids went back to school this week and everything has calmed down so much. It's really nice to have some breathing room, although I will say I miss having them around, even if there is more constant voices and chaos. It's fun voices and chaos, you know? I do have to say that there's something about this back to school season that was making me feel a little bit like a fraud, but less so after a bit, and I'm going to explain why. So you know that I am working on this project that I haven't fully told you what it is, but I've been hinting at. It is for people who want to learn to cook for two or for smaller households, really with a focus on like empty nesters, early empty nesters, when your kids move out, go to college or get their own place or just are not around as much, how you have to adjust your cooking, the way you've been cooking for, 20 years, how that has to change when you have fewer people around, right? And I think of myself as a real expert on this topic because my kids go back and forth to their dads. So they're at their dads every second week and at my place the alternate weeks. That means that I vividly see the difference between cooking for four versus cooking for two, shopping for four versus shopping for two, all the time. And I've really developed a lot of strategies for that. So we're launching this new Cooking for Two project soon. It's coming in September. And I was very excited. My kids are home less. They're at their dad's. They're driving. They're out for dinner. They're doing stuff with their friends. And I'm like, this is the perfect time for me to be talking about this. I am so there. I'm like on the brink of that myself. My son is applying to college this year, but then this thing happened and we've ended up with an extra teenager in the house. That is a long story that I won't get into, but there is an extra senior in the house, an extra 12th grader for the year, and she is actually with me all the time. So she is not going back and forth to my ex-husband's house. She is just here. And so instead of my household getting smaller, it's actually gotten bigger. And there are 5 of us here quite often. So I was thinking to myself, like, Christine, what are you going to tell people that you're doing this thing about cooking for 2, but actually your family is getting bigger and you're cooking for 5? That's nuts. But then something happened, I guess it was last week, that made me realize that it actually is kind of just right. And it's kind of just right for 2 reasons. So one is the way that this is kind of applicable to everybody. If you are an early empty nester or, your kids have their driver's license, they're busier, they're not home for dinner all the time, you're in flux all the time, right? Like, are you cooking for 4? Are you cooking for 6? Are they bringing friends over? Is it just you? Or is it you and your partner? How many people are here on any given day? It's kind of crazy. And so you're in flux. Or if your kids have moved out, but then they're coming over for dinner sometimes, are they coming and doing their laundry at your house? Like, that's happening too. So you're kind of like doing this balancing act between all those things. And so I am doing that, and there is some family growing, family shrinking involved in that. So maybe it is just very real and very much what all kinds of families at this stage are experiencing. So there's that. But then also what happened was we had one of those weeks where my kids went back to their dads and the new teenager stayed here and Marty went back to his place. And so it was just me and her for a few days. And it made me realize one of the really great things about when you get to cook for 2, when your kids aren't there, or when it's just 2 of you. Actually, anytime that you have fewer people, is that you get to cook a little bit more for yourself. The fewer people you have to cook for, the less like picky eaters or things people don't like, or even dietary needs, the less of any of that you have to worry about. And you get to find things that the 2 of you really like that maybe the others don't like. And this has been a treat. It turns out that she likes a whole bunch of things that nobody else in my family likes, like roasted cauliflower and air fryer zucchini. And so I'm cooking these smaller meals for just the 2 of us when it's just the 2 of us here. But a lot of the things we're having are things that we both like that the other people don't like, or that she's willing to try for the first time. So I'm getting to be a little adventurous. And there I am, just cooking for 2 in this shifting back and forth way. So I was feeling a little silly about to launch this whole, cooking for smaller families when your family gets smaller, cooking for 2. I was feeling silly about that with my family growing. And then I got to have just the exact experience of what it is like to be cooking for just two people kind of anew when you're like, oh, we get to have this that we didn't get to have when all those people were here. So that has been very fun. Lots of shifting and changing around here all the time. We do that dance though, right? You can do it. I can do it. Our lives shift and change and we have to figure it out, and we can figure it out together. So I am really hoping that this is going to help you guys too. Those of you who are in this stage, stick around because I will be talking about it more. Did I actually say this at the top of the show already? I have some logos that I'm going to get you guys to help me choose between. My graphic designer designed two of them. So I'm going to want some help deciding which one to go with. I've seen the first draft of them, not ready to share fully yet, but those will be soon. So lots of exciting stuff there. As to other exciting stuff, my guest today is formerly of the restaurant industry and started her website, and she couldn't decide if she should do salty or sweet. Was she better at being a pastry chef or at cooking savory meals? And so she decided to unite them both with her site, when salty and sweet unite.com. So cute. I love that. I am speaking to Kristina Cadelina, who is going to be talking with us about a very unique but wonderful recipe, something that actually would work quite well as a fun first weekend after back to school for my kids, certainly, and probably for yours too. So let's listen now to my conversation with Kristina Cadelina. Hello, Kristina. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to talk with you. So you are newer to the food blogging industry. You've been blogging for 3 years, and I love the name of your site. It's When Salty and Sweet Unite. Can you tell me how you got started and why that name?
I used to work in the food industry, in the restaurant industry for a couple of years. And I had left, to start my family. And then for the longest time, I was thinking, I'm just going to cook at home and cook for my family and friends. Like, I'm not going to go back to the restaurant industry. And then around like 2015, 2016, I started seeing a lot of recipe creators online. And I just got to thinking like, hey, why can't I do that? And then 2020 hit. It put me into a deep thought of like, where do I want my life to go? So then in 2021, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start a food blog. And I started doing all the research, learning how to like take photos and like do the whole thing. And then, I started my blog and I didn't know what I was doing. I just started posting like whatever I made for dinner that night or for the week or whatever. And then the name came from, I would ask my friends like, hey, I'm going to start a blog. But do you think that I'm better at baking or I'm better at like cooking? And they're like, I don't even know. Like, I like both. Mm-hmm. I was like, that's okay. So I struggled with names. And then I was like, you know what? When salty and sweet unite, because you got sweet and savory. Why not? Mm-hmm. But then one of my blogger friends asked me, are they talking about your attitude or your actual blog? I was like, my blog.
It could be both.
Yeah.
I love that. That's really great. So what kinds of recipes do you like to focus on? Where you do some salty, some sweet, but is there anything in particular that really excites you in the kitchen?
So it started off with like family style recipes, things that us adults would like to eat, but then it was also like kid friendly. Mm-hmm. And then it moved into more like versatile recipes. Like I needed stuff to be gluten free, but maybe no one else in my family wanted to eat it. I love to give variations of things. And so now I kind of niche down a little bit more, and I'm trying to focus on like more clean eating type recipes, lower sugar. And I'm trying to make most of my recipes gluten-free. There are still some on my website that are not, mm-hmm. but a majority of them are.
Okay. And why gluten-free for you?
So I have hyperthyroidism. Oh. And gluten can affect my inflammation. And so it's just better. It's better for my body to not have the gluten. But sometimes it's hard to avoid. If you're eating at home, it's, easier. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear that definitely when you're cooking yourself. And if you are a knowledgeable cook, it is much easier to work around all sorts of food restrictions than when you go out. As soon as you head out to a restaurant, it gets more difficult for sure.
Yes.
So when you're trying to decide on something to make for the website, where do you get inspiration from? Is it from eating out or from, you mentioned that you like the food creators online? Where do you grab that inspiration?
I really love playing with flavors. So sometimes it's flavors that I had while I was eating out, or maybe it's somewhere that I went to, like maybe I tried some Thai restaurant in my neighborhood or something. And I pull a lot of inspiration from the neighborhood I grew up in Seattle. Is very multicultural and just so many flavors to choose from and textures. So I love kind of thinking back to foods that I grew up around.
So what are some of your favorite recipes from when you were growing up?
Oh, I know this is so simple. I really love mashed potatoes, but I also really love like rice and beans. We would eat rice and beans all the time, like all the time. So I love variations of rice and beans, right? Like red beans and rice or jambalaya or, and stuff. And I love a good fried chicken, but I don't really eat a lot of fried anymore. So that was more growing up. I love Filipino food. We grew up in a neighborhood in Seattle, Beacon Hill, and Beacon Hill had a big Filipino community. And so I grew up around like flavors like ube and some of like pancit, adobo, things like that. And I also love Spanish food, like all Spanish food, whether it be like Mexican or just tapas or things like that. Just anything that kind of falls under the umbrella of those flavors, I love. And I love soul food. Love soul food.
What's an example of soul food for you that you love?
Collard greens, sweet potato with like pineapple, marshmallows on top, jambalaya. I can't get enough of jambalaya. I could eat it like all the time. Like I love the spice. I love the sausage, the rice. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that there is a lot about jambalaya that makes it fantastic, but anytime you mix together like sausage with a whole bunch of other things, it becomes just amazing, right? Sausage. So good. So,
Catfish.
Oh yeah, catfish, like fried catfish. Yeah, for sure. Oh, those are such great things. Wow, you have a huge assortment of inspiration. I love that. And all these things show up on your blog in one way or another.
I think so.
Love that. So, Kristina, tell me, what recipe have you brought to tell us about today?
Ooh, I am doing a Fruity Pebbles waffle.
Interesting. Wow. So actually, this is great. We're heading towards back to school season here. My kids have gone back to school. I think we're earlier than a lot of the country, but we are heading in that direction. This would be a great fun breakfast for mornings or before school, or maybe a weekend fun thing. Do your kids like this one?
Yes. My son saw me put Fruity Pebbles in it and he was like, "What are you doing? What? You're putting it in a waffle?" He was excited and he ate a majority of the waffles.
Very cool. So where do you start when making these?
So this Fruity Pebble waffle recipe is going to start with gluten-free flour.
Oh,
so
great.
I use 1 cup of gluten-free flour and I'm using all-purpose 1-to-1 mix. I normally use Trader Joe's or Bob's Red Mill.
Okay.
And the 1-to-1 already has a xanthan gum in it, so it just kind of makes things easier and you don't have to go buy the xanthan gum separately or whatever. And you can use that flour for other recipes, right?
Oh. Is it pretty much, I've never used it before. Is it pretty much interchangeable with regular all-purpose flour in most things?
Yes. I think it gives a little bit of a different texture, like in baked goods. It kind of makes like a crust, like in loaf breads, but I like it. Yeah, I use it a lot. And the gluten-free Trader Joe's one, It's a little bit more affordable than the Bob's Red Mill,
Okay.
but just a little bit of smaller quantity.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're starting with that 1 cup. What next?
And then I use a cup of ground cornmeal.
Oh.
So the cornmeal is going to help give a little bit of texture to the waffle, and it's going to give a little bit of a crunch. So you're going to have a crunch from the Fruity Pebbles, but you also have a crunch from the cornmeal.
Oh, interesting. And that probably a crunch kind of on the outside as well, right? Mm-hmm. And okay, I'm wondering, does that kind of let you put less Fruity Pebbles in there because you're getting that crunchy sensation from all kinds of things?
Yes.
Love it.
So that takes 1 cup. And then I use fine sea salt, a half teaspoon, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder to help the waffle fluff.
Yeah.
Be a nice fluffy waffle. And so for sugar, you can use the amount I'm about to tell you, or you can go less or even go a little bit more. I don't think that you need more, but I use a half cup of white sugar. If I'm feeling a little bit saucy, I use organic cane sugar, but you don't have to because sugar's sugar. But I think a half cup is good. It's just sweet enough that you don't have to put syrup if you don't want to.
That makes sense. Okay. So you mix those together and then what happens?
Yeah. So you mix up all those dry ingredients, just gently whisk it together. And then you're going to add in a half cup of the Fruity Pebbles.
Okay. Oh, that's not very much. Okay.
Yeah. So just a half cup and just kind of mix it up. And then you're going to start with your wet ingredients. So I use 1 cup of milk. So just 2% milk is fine. You could use whole milk if you want, or if you want to use plant-based, it's good either way.
Okay.
And I use 2 tablespoons of olive oil and 2 large eggs, and then a half teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. So I'm mixing up my wet ingredients, whisking them together, and then I'm pouring it into the dry ingredients.
Okay.
I'm carefully trying not to overmix it. Just want to mix it until it gets wet.
It's a quick bread, really. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. And then meanwhile, you want to preheat your waffle iron.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I use a Belgian waffle maker. So it's a little bit bigger, right? So this recipe with my waffle iron makes about 3 to 4 waffles. But if you're using a smaller waffle maker, it could probably make probably double that. So it all depends on your waffle maker. So you want to preheat the waffle maker. My settings are 3, so kind of low medium. And when I start with my waffles, I spray it with nonstick spray.
Okay.
About 2/3 cup into the waffle iron. And then making sure it's, evenly spread out, closing it, and just letting it cook. My waffle iron has a little setting on it where it can tell you when to flip it.
Oh, that's handy.
But I don't know if all waffle irons have that. Right. So it can probably take 3 minutes each side. I'm guesstimating that one. And so, yeah, just making sure it's golden brown, nice and cooked. You can keep it in there a little bit longer if you want to have a little bit more of a firmer waffle. But other than that, you just cook it until it's golden. Now, with waffles, I'm really picky because I don't like soggy waffles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love to put my waffles, when I'm taking them out, I love to put them on a cooling rack and just let them cool rather than putting them on a plate and stacking them.
Okay.
So I put them on a cooling rack, let them cool. And if you're going to be eating the waffles right away, you can enjoy it with more Fruity Pebbles on top.
Okay.
And you can drizzle with a little bit of maple syrup if you want, or fresh fruit, whipped cream, But if you want to freeze them, so what we do here is we like to make a big batch, let them all cool. And then to freeze them, I like to wrap them in parchment paper and put them into a large Ziploc bag or like a square Pyrex, glass Pyrex dish. And then when they're completely cool, you can freeze them. And they freeze well. They freeze for up to 3 months. And when you want to reheat it, you can just pop one in the microwave for about 45 seconds. And it reheats it pretty good. And the texture stays good.
So that's straight from frozen. You're putting them in the microwave? Huh. That's amazing. I love that. You can make a big batch before for the week and then have them for quick breakfast.
And yes. And one of the things I love about this recipe is, if you're making a really big waffle, sometimes your little kids, they won't eat the whole thing. And so the waffles, you can break them, right? So you could heat one up, but maybe break it in half and then give it to two people, or, whatever. You can kind of customize their needs for how much they want to eat that day or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's great. No, it's true. If kind of like what we were saying before, when you're cooking at home and not at a restaurant, you can customize these things for what you need for sure.
Yes.
So they're gluten-free, Fruity Pebbles. Are Fruity Pebbles gluten-free too?
They are.
Oh, perfect.
Yes. And this recipe kind of works when you have a bunch of cereal that maybe your child was like, I'm not speaking from experience or anything, but my child was like, I need these Fruity Pebbles. And then you get like the big family size, and I'm like, okay, you've only ate a couple of these, and if the box has been sitting here a month, we need to move through the box.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's a great idea. I love that. Oh, well, Kristina, this is fantastic. Can you let people know where they can find you online if they want to see more of your amazing creations? Where should they go?
Yes, my blog is whensaltyandsweetunite.com, and you can find me on TikTok. You can also find me on Instagram, both at When Salty and Sweet Unite, and Pinterest as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Fruity Pebbles waffles. I know, right? My kids are going to love them. I know it for sure. Would your kids like them? Would you like them? I'm not sure about me. I don't have a sweet tooth at all, but I will give them a try. I will try almost anything once, right? Thank you so much for such a fun recipe, Kristina. Everyone go and check her out when saltyandsweetunite.com. Okay, so now what is going on in my kitchen this week? I'm actually doing the photos and videos, kind of like a last test on some recipes that I'm pretty sure I already told you I was working on. So nothing like new to report, but I will tell you anyways. We are working on the no boil baked ziti. So this is like a pasta dish where you're just mixing the uncooked ziti pasta noodles with some extra saucy ingredients. And I like to use either leftover cooked ground beef or chicken already cooked, or really what I love to use are those already cooked sausages that are like, they're Italian chicken sausages with mozzarella. I think the brands, they're not a sponsor or anything, but the brand that I usually grab is Adel, Aidell, but they're wonderful to have in the fridge because they keep in the fridge for a long time. They have really good like use by dates, and they're already fully cooked. So then when I want to do something like this that's pretty hands off, I could just slice it up and mix it with the pasta, uncooked pasta. Like I said, the saucy ingredients, there's ricotta in there and some cheese, and that gets covered tightly with aluminum foil and then just goes straight into the oven for quite a while, but then it is done and perfect. So I have done the testing on this one. I'm doing the video and the photos this week. And there's also another super easy, really, really good back to school pasta dish. This is for a meatball stroganoff. And so kind of similar to what I was saying about the ziti, what I do is I buy a bag of those like pre-cooked, pre-made meatballs, and they're in the freezer. And my kids like them. Like if they just need a snack or if they're cooking themselves something, they'll grab a handful of those, but I can also use them for this kind of really quick dinner. They're already cooked, so I can just add them to things. And this meatball stroganoff is delicious with those meatballs in there. I can't get enough of it. So that one we're also doing the pictures for, and something a little lighter and not in the same like pre-cooked genre is some blackened salmon. So you get yourself some nice salmon fillets. You say fillet, I say fillet, and you get yourself some salmon fillets and you add the homemade blackened seasoning and sear those up. They are so good. I can't wait to do the pictures. I think they're going to turn out really nice because they get that nice dark crust on them, you know? So that is what I am doing this week in my kitchen. As to what is going live on the sites, we have a pork stew. I really like this. We usually think of beef as the main like stew meat, but a nice like pork shoulder, or when pork is on sale, different cuts, you can use it in a stew like this. It's really, really good. And that one's going live on Cook the Story. And then on the Cookful, we have a Mexican chicken marinade going live. This is great for like doing meal prep, or just anytime you're going to make some chicken to use in like tacos, burritos, anything like that. This marinade just gives it all that flavor. And it's one of my pureed marinades. So it has like onions and jalapeno and lime and cilantro all pureed into the mixture. So it has so much flavor. Delicious on chicken. So that is going live on the Cookful this week on Monday. And then what am I telling you about this week? There are some great recipes for, well, if your kids are going back to school and you want those like weeknight favorites, but also if your kids are still home and haven't gone back to school and you are getting exhausted from all the cooking, these are some easy dinners for that as well. So there are some classic stuffed peppers coming up, a 3-ingredient mac and cheese that is not the evaporated milk one I've been raving about recently. This is a different one. There is, that pork stew. The Mexican chicken marinade is on there. Ooh, very fun. Bacon wrapped meatloaf. And I clearly have those freezer meatballs on the brain because there is also a recipe on Friday that uses those. So many great recipes to try. I want to remind you that when you are looking for recipes, if you're on Google, you can search for my name with the recipe that you're looking for, and it will find it from either of my websites. So if you are looking for meatball recipes, you can type in meatball recipes, Christine Pittman, and it will find them all for you like that. Or go directly to cookthestory.com or thecookful.com and search there. There is almost always going to be what you're looking for, and you know that I have tested those recipes. My family loves them. They are definitely not like AI generated or faked in any way. They are for sure delicious. So search for Christine Pittman tacked on to whatever recipe you're looking for, and you will find me there. I want to say a big thank you to Kristina Cadelina from When Salty and Sweet Unite. Make sure you check her out. And thank you to you for listening. I'm Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookful.com, the all-new chicken cookbook, and from this podcast, Recipe of the Day. I hope you have a great weekend. Let's get cooking.